Hi there, just wanted to check in with everybody. It's been a week or so before or since we last did any tangling on this page. And of course, last time we sort of met, we were doing the last of the flowers of the Sanntangle Flower Quilt. So I thought what it'd be nice to do is to see sort of where we're all at with that. And although I'm not going to do any sewing tonight, I thought we could have a quick look at this. I know there's a few people asked some questions, so I thought that'd be quite nice. Sorry about the camera overhead. I'm just going to swap my lights to see if it helps a little bit with that. How's that looking? Oh, that's a little bit better. There we go. Oh, hello everybody. It's like old times all back together again, isn't it? So, okay, the Sanntangle Flower Quilt first. As you know, I have stitched it all together. Let's have a look at it, because I'm still working on it a little bit. Hang on a second, because it's quite large now, as you can imagine. I actually used 36 of the pieces. I've got 4 for a cushion, so that's okay there. But let's have a look at it. You see, I've actually got I put a border on. So that was the last of the blocks. I put a red strip border on, which matches my corners there, look. And I actually had an extra piece there. That's, not sure how many inches that is. Let's have a quick look. I think it's probably, hang on a second, let me just, use my ruler. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I actually did that at 4.5 inches all the way around, leaving a 1/4 inch seam there, just so I've got a border. And then of course I've used this one, which, there it is, to do my binding. So there we go. I've actually stitched 1/4 inch of my binding. And then you see I've got my binding ready there. So I can go round and over. So I can do that, which will finish it off. I'm hoping to do that in the next couple of days. Because, you know, once you've got one, it's nice to do. Yeah, I know, Sue, I've sort of missed it a little bit as well. Well, you notice here, of course, I've actually got some quilting going on there. I'm still learning with my long arm quilting machine. And I know not everybody's got one of those, but square-wise, you can still, again, because yours is a bit small, you can still stitch in the ditch, just like the other one. And of course, you've got a video on how to do that. But being able to, having a pattern like this is if you look, it's given me a little bit of detail on my flowers here. And every single one is going to be a little bit different. So if I look at the one underneath, you see, because I can't necessarily guarantee where that pattern's going to sort of go. So what I thought would be nice to do, and I know it's going to take a bit longer, but I think it'll be quite nice, is to actually have a look at it and come in and, just give me 1 second, is put some tangling in there. So choose some of the areas, not all. Let's have a look. So see here, for example, I've got this piece. If I come in with my pen, and we do use swirls a lot and bubbles and that kind of thing. So I thought it'd be kind of nice to maybe come on in and draw in some swirls. Again, I'm not going to completely fill the whole thing, but if I start with it in that bottom area. So I'm just going to pick sections. So if when you're doing your quilting, you feel that you don't want to sort of do that stitch in the ditch and you want to come across some of your artwork a little bit, you can actually do this. Do a sort of a random design as you go, and then start to come in and add a couple of bits and pieces. There we go. So that's going to sort of wander off up there and in and along here. You see? And that's just going to give it a little bit of interest in places, so we can work it round. Okay, so looking at that, it's sort of giving it a little bit more of something, isn't it? A bit of substance. So maybe just a little bit here as well. There's some little swirls going on. It's pretty easy to draw on now because it's got that wadding underneath it, and so it's quite sort of substantial. Benji's already took a liking to it, but he can't have it. Not yet anyway. There we go. So, just sort of using some of those shapes and helping to do that. I mean, you could do that. Linda, stitch in the ditch. Good question. I don't have my other quilt here with me because it's at the Festival of Quilts. And what you do, okay, so if you look here, see I've got one fabric crossing another there. And if I was to, in order to actually sandwich the thing together, so when you look, it's a sandwich look of, you've got the main fabric there, hang on, let me take that. So there's the top, hang on a second, which is the black piece. There's my wadding inside there, and there's my backing. So in order to call it a quilt, those three pieces have to be stitched together in some way. So in order to do that, you have to stitch them. So the easiest way, certainly on a domestic sewing machine, would be to actually stitch around the blocks. So, okay. So what I would do is choose one of these or all of them, and I'd stitch literally in between each of them. So you've actually got like it's almost like a little ridge there, you know, where the seam matches one and the other. So that's known as the ditch, and if you stitch in between those, it will actually quilt it, but you've got somewhere to follow. If you didn't want to do that, you could put stripes down, or as I've done, I'll show you in a little bit, you could do sort of wavy stripes going that way and that way. That would give you a nice pattern. I'm just trying to think of something that would be easy for you to sort of do without using a machine or just using your domestic. But an answer to Maureen's question, Maureen, this is a pattern that comes with my machine. So I've not done this freehand. I've got a bit of a computer attached to it, and it'll actually stitch the same design all the way across. Having said that, I'm not saying it's the same design because I'm still learning. So I had a couple of little issues, but not to worry, it's not even a problem. So you can see here, look, it's actually got some sort of swirl going on. So that is all over. So that's where that comes in. So, okay, do we get the hang of that? So if I had a look at another one, just give me a second. Okay, here we go. This one then, let's have a look at that. And what I could do, I could choose, say let's choose this piece here. See, I've got this bit sticking in here, so I could come in and do that one. And yeah, yesterday was fabulous. Leslie and I did a class to start with on a bit of like patchwork. That was really good. And then Leslie went for a wander, a cup of tea and some shopping, and all the rest of it, looking at the quilts. And I did the long arm sort of introduction to. So I had a 3-hour session with the people who I brought my machine off, going through how to do free motion quilting. Absolutely fabulous, really enjoyed it. And although I've still got a long way to go, I actually felt a little bit more confident. I did take a couple of photographs of what I did. Again, it's only a sort of a scrap kind of practice, but I'll post it after this and I'll show you what I did. So I want to use it to draw tangles, so that's what I had to go out. You see how that's going to start to come in and it brings the rest of the quilting with it, just to give you a little bit of an idea. So I'm going to do that on all. I'm not going to spend all night doing that because you can see now what I'm doing. So if that's something you want to do, then go ahead and do it. If you think, no, I'm happy with what I've got, but it's just one way of looking at it, isn't it? And of course, there's, look, the backing of my quilt. I use this sort of patterned. It's actually the same design as the white one, but it just looks a little bit different, doesn't it, in the red there. So let's move that out of the way. And let's come in with the bag. So here we go. This one. Now, when you get your pattern, of course, it's going to come as a full piece like that, so you're going to have to cut it out. There is a 1/4 inch seam on everything. I would never do a pattern without it because it annoys me, to be honest. It's one of those things that I always think, why do I have to add seam allowance around a pattern? Let's just do it. So looking at the instructions, it goes through how to make it. So here are, it shows you to start with. I'm sure if you've all got this, it's got all the different pattern pieces there. So you look at it, you see here you've got one and it says side panel kind of thing. You've got two. One's a bit longer than the other. So one of them, what you would do with it, you'd cut it in half and then you press 1/4 of an inch down each side. And that shows you here, look, and I've top stitched it. So the whole point of that, which then looks like this, is it's about putting a zip in. So I'm just going to show you the piece here, look. So there's my longest piece. Hang on. So there's my longest piece, which is the back section. The shortest piece, you will actually cut it in half, fold 1/4 of an inch of each one of these, and then I've stitched the zip inside there. And see, look, I've actually stitched that one to that one, and on this side, stitch that one to that one. And I've got a bit of a ribbon look that's got the Sanntangle on it. That's one of the Brother printing little gadgets that does ribbon. Now, although I've done that, you can see, look, I've got my seam there. There you go. It's a better version of it. What I want to do is, before I go any further, so I'm not top stitching it or anything, because I want to make sure that this fits all the way around my bag. So let's have a little look at the pattern. All right, so here's the top, front and back. You see you've got these notches here and you've got notches here. It's important that you put those in because that's going to help you put this together. So if I look at my first little piece, here we go. This is the front or the back, it doesn't really matter which. And you can see if I turn it around, look, I've quilted it. You know what I said, doing it a little bit random. Let's go up a little bit, there you go. So I've stitched it all the way down that way and that way, and you see it's sort of going around, and that gives it quite a nice little random design. So that's sort of attached that one to that one. And putting my pockets on, because let's have a look. I do have a pocket here somewhere. There we go. It's organised chaos here, it really is. So my pocket look would sit straight on there and on there. Now my advice would be to actually draw all your designs on first before putting it onto it, but I'm going to just give you a bit of a hint as to what to do next. So what I would do is, inside the seam allowance, I would stitch this all the way around just to hold it in place so you know that it's not going to move, okay? And having a look at this one, I've not drawn the whole thing in yet, I've just drawn the pattern there, but you can see that I've actually got a stitch line all the way around so it holds it in place, so it's not going anywhere. Okay, I do that with both of them, and then I'm just opening at the top, yeah? At the top here, I've got a little notch. So I know it's not very clear in that sense, but yours will be when you've got it at home. So there's my little notch there. And on this side, there's my notch. Okay, clips I think are brilliant, much better than pins. They don't bite you. Okay. Oh, Sue, I know. It's a serious investment, it really is. But do you know what? I'm so glad I did it. I'm having so much fun with it. Too much, honestly. I'm not getting enough work done, but it's loving it. So there, I've got my two notches there. The notches at the side actually come up to where the pocket is. So as long as you don't change your pocket in any way, shape or form, your notch is fine there. Having said that, if you want this to be bigger, you would need your notch, because this is where this bit fits in. I'll come to that in a short while. So on these panels, and it doesn't matter which side you start with, you see I've actually stitched my my handles. So I folded it in half, give myself a seam. There you go, see I've got my handles. And what I would do there is, there's my notch. So I'm going to put my handle, see, look, the seam facing inside, there's the notch. Let's put that clip on, because I'm going to put that one there, and I'm going to bring this round like so, yeah, and then I'm going to put this one there. So my notch is at the edge. It's entirely up to you. You can either use the notch on the edge, or you could put this in the center, whatever works. So I do that with both sides. So you've got one on this side, one on this side. and then I would stitch across again inside the seam. I would stitch across that so I know that it's going to be in place and it's not going to move. I think everything we can stitch down is going to really help. So that sort of gives you that point, okay? Our next thing, and I think this is probably the trickiest, let's just move everything out of the way for a minute, is to actually get this onto this. Now, as you can see, I've actually got, it's a full loop round, I've stitched it, so that's the longest piece. This is where I've got my zip. Zips, by the way, I don't know if I put a measurement in for the size of the zip. I use zips on a roll because then you don't have to worry about that and you can cut it off at whatever length you want it to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, doesn't matter which side, this part here, so see the seam there? And I'm going to match that up with this bit here where my pocket joins. And again, let's just put that in. I'm going to take this off for a minute because you're going to imagine that that's been stitched in. So I'm going to put that there. So working my way around the other seam, the other side. Oh, what am I doing? It's that kind of a night. The zip's got to be at the top, Sandra. Get a grip. There you go. Let's put it the right way. So the zip's at the top and it's not going to open at the bottom. Who wants a bag that opens at the bottom? Oh, you can laugh, John. Okay, so you see that there's the pocket and here is the seam. So let's put that in place. Now, it might be that you've got to adjust this. You might have to take a bit more off the seam, but we're going to... I know, sorry, Linda, I froze. My mum rang me. And when the phone rings, it's for some reason it freezes. So you see that I would actually clip as much as I can all the way around. These clips are brilliant. All the way around. Okay. Just making sure that your edges line up. Imagine that you've got your handle in there. Okay. You see, keep clipping all the way around. Now here you can see that I've got a little bit more than what I need. Okay, so what I do here, like, let's just clip that there. Okay, so I've got a little extra, but I want that seam to still be there. I don't want to follow it round. So what I've got to do is I've got to line up where it's going to be. See there? So let's put a clip there. That's where my seam's got to be. So what I would do is I would take that seam, let's take that off there. I would actually put this into my machine and I would stitch down there, okay? All the way down, and then I'd check it again. Then if I was happy and it was fine, I would cut it off. And then I know that I've got a perfectly all the way around matching piece, all right? Now, the only reason you've got a little bit extra there is because you might find that, you know, as you're cutting out, it's not accurate, or it might be that going round your corners, you've left a bit, and I didn't want you to sort of be shortchanged, so I left a little bit extra. So you see how it works, going all the way around. Once you've done that and you've stitched it, you've got this kind of thing. So let's have a look at this. You see, look, there's my seam, and I have trimmed this one down. It's matching on my pocket, so I've stitched all the way around, all the way. See, just taking care around your corners, all the way around, all the way around, so you've got your shape. So what I would do here on your corners, now I'm not so worried because this is the lining. You see, I've got a bit of a clip there, that's fine. But what I would do is I would come in and just ever so gently snip my corners. Now I've got big scissors, so I'm not going to do too many, but I just want to sort of show you. You don't want to be going into your fabric where your stitches are. A second. Okay, so you could cut yourself some little V's or just snips inside this piece, so this would actually open up better. Once you've done one, you're going to do it on the other side as well. So you see I've now got a side seam and I've got front and back. if I turn that out, you see this is, I say, the lining piece. There we go. So I've got my inner pockets, which is the same fabric as the outside. Push them out. It's going to push a little bit better once you've actually trimmed them off. Okay. And then give it a little bit of a pressy. Just sort of roll your seams so you've got them out like this, and then give it a little bit of a press. I think a bag needs to look just as nice inside as out, doesn't it? Okay. Now on the lining bits, you've still got that shorter piece, look, where I've actually put my 1/4 inch seam in there ready, and then that sort of fits in and around, you see, so you've got your shape there. Oh, thank you, Sue. It's a Dan Morris fabric. It's the same as the blue one. It was in the same bundle. And again, look, see at the bottom, you can see that that's where I actually trimmed it a little bit, and I made it a little bit shorter. And then what you would do is exactly the same as you've done with this, as you would then stitch with this one. And then this one would actually sit inside the other. So how would you do that? Oh, you would have it inside like that, inside out. You would push that inside this one, and then this bit here I would pin to the inside of your zip bit here. So let's have a look. So that, let's just open that out. Once this is stitched together, that would be, let's do it that way around. There we go. That would be on the inside like that, you see. So that, there's your lining, there's your zip, and it would fit like this, you see. And that would then be hand stitched or machine stitched if you prefer. I would do it by hand. And then that would actually finish your bag off. Okay. Now, one thing you've got to remember when actually putting this or stitching this to this zip, if it's too close to the zip, you see like that, your zip won't fasten. So what you have to do is, you see where I've got my stitching there? I'm going to actually line up the lining with that stitching. So you see it's leaving a little bit of a gap there to allow for the zip and the teeth to actually work my way around. So all that would be maybe pinned, clipped, whatever works for you, hand stitched, and then before you think it's finished, check that the zip works, and then that's all done and sorted. So rather than leaving a gap and pulling it through, I thought that would perhaps be an easier way, and a little bit of slip stitching in there. So as quick as that is, I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight into how you would do it. I will get this finished in the week as with my quilt, and then I could post and let you have a look at it. But if I just sort of come to the instructions a little bit, here we are. It sort of shows you, there you go, there's the zip, working my way. You've got how you tangle it in the middle there. So let's move into these bits. And you can see that this is where I've added the handles. So exactly what we've just done, we've pinned it, stitch across it, so it's all in place. And then here we go, look, you can see I've used the clips. Okay, oh, Linda, hand stitching, I do like a little slip stitch. So I'd actually stitch, I don't have any needles with me at the minute, but what I would do, hang on a second, is I'd take, I would take my sort of, my needle, and I'd go up and into the seam there. Just a little stitch, just like hemming a pair of trousers, a little stitch into the other piece, and then back inside and up and out. So it's just like a little sort of slip stitch around there. Okay, so you can see there that that's where we've clipped it. This is the lining that we've just done. Then it shows you putting the front and back of the bag. You see here, look, a little bit of trimming going on, just like I mentioned. And then, of course, the back. And then final little bit, look, there you go. Pinning in. See, that's a little bit close there, but I'm pinning in the lining there. And then this is our final piece. So as much as I didn't want to sort of go on the sewing machine tonight and you watch me do it, I wanted just to talk you through a few little pointers, but hopefully that gives you some sort of starting point and places to look, to sort of work at. So a couple of things to finish there, and so I think it's perhaps best if we give it a couple of weeks to get you to the point where that's ready, and then we can, if you want to, we can have a go at doing the Christmas quilt. So Christmas wise, it was sort of the Scandi quilt with the heart shapes, and I've already started to cut out my pieces. So here we go, let's have a look at this. I'm going to be using all the same white for the inside. So this is what I'm going to draw the hearts on, and then I've really sort of splashed out on this. I've actually got, look at this, you see that? I've actually got all of these colours. So this is going to make my first block. Hold on a second. So I've got that colours. This is going to look really nice, look. And then this one, look at that. So that's going to be my first block. Instead of using red and grey, I'm going to use that one for my first block. And then my second block, I'm going to be using, now look at this silver, a second. The silver, again, it's got that bit of a metallic on it. And then I'm going to use my blues. So I'm going to hang on with those, and I'm going to wait, and I'll show you how to put the first block together, and then how you can start to tangle and add those little heart shapes on there. So give it a couple of weeks. I say not next week, the week after, I'll come back on and we'll start doing that one. So if you want to get yourself ready with that, if you're using the Scandi fabrics, doesn't matter, you can use whatever you want to do, but hopefully that gives you a cover. If you've got any questions about any of the patterns that we use, please ask away. If I'm not on here to spot it, I'm sure Leslie will, or we'll get to you at some point. But have a go with it. You as long as you cut it out and follow the instructions, tack things if you think that you need to start with, you'll be absolutely fine. So the only thing, which is what I've showed you tonight, is actually getting this piece to match this piece. So you might have to take a little bit off to sort of get that in there, but that's absolutely fine. Linda, the Christmas one, it's called the Christmas quilt. It's the hearts Christmas quilt. Just give me a second. I've still got everything sort of here, but not here, if you know what I mean. We're in the process of moving everything in the office. Here we go. So the Christmas quilt is this one here, Hearts and Tangles. So there's your Scandi vibes, and then of course you get your heart-shaped frames with it. So that's what I'll be looking at in 2 weeks' time. So if you're up for it and you want to have a go, you can do. I hope you actually saw the picture of the quilt, the original quilt hanging up yesterday, and I hope it's giving you a little bit of an inspiration to give it a go, or at least to get it finished. I do know that, I think Chris has got hers done, the blue one. There's been some photos of that. So stick with me with this, and I'm sure we're going to be making some fabulous little bits and pieces, yeah? So, okay, I'm going to leave you there then. Hopefully I've given you a little bit of an insight to get going with it. But as I say, any questions, anything you're not sure of, give us a shout, and we'll help you out where we can. So, okay, have a good one, everybody. And I won't see you next week, but I'll see you the week after, and we'll give this one a start, okay? All right, take care then, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.